Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Well, hello there. Technical difficulties this afternoon. How is everyone? I am so glad you're here. This is Michelle Renee, Education Network from the Female Solutions. Today we have a literacy queen from Chicago, Jurema Gorham. I found out so much about her this week as I've been scrolling through her social media and her websites. And I'm so happy to call her Queen of Literacy from Chicago.
Thank you. How are
Thank you
you,
for joining
Michelle?
us
Thank
today. I am wonderful. It's so nice to meet you.
you as well.
Today, I want to talk to you about the crises that we're having in literacy,
Mm.
and it's nationwide. Teachers are reporting a severe and widespread literacy crisis for all grade levels. What do you think about that?
I believe this crisis has been around a long time. I think that we are over the years able to get more data and we have more touch
Hmm.
points, and I
Hmm.
think that more people are starting to see it. Like, I think at one point you knew about it, and now I think people are starting to experience it, right? Like, you're
Yes.
you're seeing adults who were maybe that first wave of children who
Hmm.
had
Hmm.
issues with reading, who are now in their teens, and now they are
Hmm.
20 years old, even 30-year-olds who are struggling with like simple comprehension. And I think that
And
the
40
crisis has
year
been
olds.
40 years old and older, right?
Yeah.
And I
You know
mean, you see,
why I'm saying 40 years old? Because I do believe it was in around 1972 or that era that they took phonics out of the schools. And that's
yeah,
when it.
I believe it's so many factors, right? I think the phonics out of the school. I think this push for more standardized testing,
Oh
right? Like,
boy.
so it
Yes.
becomes more about the
Oh
test grade
boy.
versus like what
Yes.
you actually master and understand.
Yes.
And,
Yes. Because
and
teachers are teaching to the standardized test as opposed to being able to be creative in ensuring that our young people know how to read and think well. If we would just allow teachers to do what they do, be creative, then we
Mhm.
then much of the problem will not be here. So we have low reading stamina for children. They are struggling with comprehension. And I teach at a community college. I see it every day.
Mhm.
They come to first freshman year English, and we have 16 weeks to teach them how to write a college essay. And in many cases, they can't even write a sentence.
Yep.
And we
Yeah.
do our best. And so, it's difficult. It's tough. Educators all across the country are citing this issue and trying to do something about it. So, what I would like to do with Education Nation is
Yeah.
I would like to bring awareness and at the same time offer solutions to the
Mhm.
problem. Not for the schools, because the schools will have to deal with all of their um, 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 governmental agencies and all that. But what can parents do? What can families do? What can the community do? That's what I would
Yeah.
like to offer with this. What can we do to help our own children so that they will not be part of that system where they are locked into service? And it's
Yeah.
okay if somebody wants to be a service worker, because we need that. But for
We do.
those who don't, they need to have other options. So what can we do to make sure that happens? So I want to show a video now that I found on social media,
Okay.
and this is a teacher, an eighth grade teacher, who is confirming that we have a problem.
Mm.
There's a literacy crisis in America, and teachers are sounding the alarm.
I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than a sentence. They cannot connect cause and effect. They can't track multi-step ideas like in a political cartoon. I see it every single day. I had a kid yesterday, 4 kids actually. This happened in every class. We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics? One more time. And these students, what they do is they look at me and then they look at their notes and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. Some of them never answered me. They never figured out the answer. And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying like, it's in your notes. We just wrote it down. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics? It's on the board. And they never got it. They can't read their own notes. And I don't mean their handwriting. I mean like they can't make heads or tails of it on the page. These kids have a frightening ability for information to go from their eyes to their hands and not pass through the brain at all. What do we do, y'all? That ship is sailing across the ocean and there is no one at the wheel.
Okay. So what do you think?
I think that it's layered, right? So she's an 8th grade teacher, and so I'm in education now. This will be my 18th year as a teacher, and I started in kindergarten, and I now teach high school. So I've been able to see the progression, right? Like, what does it look like to introduce words and sounds and all the things we're talking about, decoding, all the way up to in high school, you should be able to now research and do all the like deeper thinking. I think
read to learn in high school.
Read to learn, right? I think it's been a few things. I think that one of the things that is very alarming is technology is a tool, but it isn't the replacement of thinking, right? And so I think that's one piece. One piece is that a lot of our schools have become smart schools, and like even my son, he's a freshman in high school. Everything is done on Chromebooks. Everything is on computer. He doesn't have paper, pencil, any of that. And so a lot of the thinking, a lot of the memorization that comes from you actually writing it by hand. I mean, it's a science behind it. It's not just
it's brain science,
right? It's not just a task. It actually like remembers me writing this thing down versus me typing it and looking at it.
Absolutely.
And it's
no
memory. So we don't do exercises and things that activate long-term memory. We do a lot of short-term memory things. And so we could be like, I just taught this. Well, they saw it, they watched it, but they never applied it and experienced it. And if I don't apply and experience it, I'm not going to remember it.
Exactly. Research says that when you learn something new, you might need to experience it up to 7 times. And part of experiencing is to make sure that you're having them take notes and write things out so that there is a connection from their fingers to their brain. And if they're typing everything, there's no connection. I read some research last week that was saying that there is no connection to the brain when we are typing our notes.
Yeah. And then I see the comment below, like even thinking about when I was teaching elementary, like that's when you introduce like text to text, text to world, real world connections, right? Like I'm learning this thing in the class. How does this show up in my everyday? How am I able to connect it to something that I learned prior, right? All of those like things that really help learning to be long term, I believe are getting shortened and shortened in a classroom because of not only the access to technology, which I think is amazing. I don't think it should be taken away. It's actually counterproductive to say, oh, we should just take computers out and all these things. And kids should have tech. We're not going backwards, right?
We're not going backwards, no.
We just have to learn to use it as what it's supposed to be, which is a tool.
Use it smarter. Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
tool, right? It's a
Mhm.
tool.
Not a replacement.
I utilize it after I've learned the skill to make my job easier, right? And so I think that that's a big part. And then I heard it say discussion, like us talking about the written word, talking about what we're reading. There's not enough conversations that allow it to become something that I can connect to a prior experience that makes it stick in my brain as well. So I just think that kids are being considered on grade level because they can do really great at multiple choice testing, and not because they're not doing like performative things where you actually have to demonstrate that you understand what you're doing. And so I think that that has led for year after year after year you do that. Now I'm in high school and this is something I've never had to exercise and do. And then it's a huge wake up call because I teach seniors that when they go to college, they feel so ill prepared
And they are
because
prepared.
what happens in college is not being translated in a lot of high schools and elementary schools. So
Yeah.
when you come to college, it's all performative. You presenting, you writing papers, you know what I mean, you doing labs, and there's certain kids that have never even done a lab their whole time in school. They haven't had to write a paper, and then now I'm asked to write an 8-page paper in college, right? So I
Or
think that
16.
16 pages. It's just not we're asking them to use skill sets that are very weak or never been used in the first place. And that's what adds to literacy. Literacy, you know, isn't just about reading. It's about how do you communicate? How do you listen? Right. And if I'm not having conversation, I'm not even practicing how to listen. Right.
Right, right.
Yeah.
When I went to high school, I went to CBS and I graduated in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
All of us, we were required to take that English 4 class, and we were required to write a 16-page paper every single year with citations. And when I mentioned a 5-paragraph college essay to my freshmen, they get afraid. They are afraid, and they don't know anything about that. Well, they should have learned that in their first and second year of high school, and they
Yeah.
don't. So, another issue that we're having right now is the banning of books.
Mm-hmm.
Should books, especially books that deal with controversial issues, do you think books dealing with controversial issues should be banned? And if so or not, what is the impact? What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think anything should be banned. Let me start there because I think that it's only controversial depend on who's making the decisions, right? So it's only controversial if it is there's in some ways a revelation about even you that's gonna come out, you know. And so I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people um hand in hand, right? It's like we live in a world where I legit can look up anything I want, right? We're not in the space of, I know even for me, when I was in high school, still having to go to the library to get my sources was a thing, right? The internet was not a big thing. So we still had to go and get texts and had to be able to research and do all the things. And so that's how I became familiar with primary source, secondary sources. And I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to understand like who is the person speaking. And I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get, if I didn't get to the library, I wouldn't know the thing. Our kids now can, from their phone, learn and even actually FaceTime somebody from another country, right? So I think this
Yeah.
idea of banning a book is ridiculous because you can't ban knowledge. Knowledge is
Right.
about exposure and understanding different perspectives. And I think
Mhm.
we actually hinder them understanding who they are and what the world is when we don't allow every perspective to come in. And guess what? History is not pretty,
It's
right?
not.
Like and on multiple sides. It's
Hmm.
parts in history that don't make even the
Absolutely.
black population look
Absolutely.
great,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I think that you can't tell the whole story without telling the whole story.
Right.
And a lot of things are taken out of context when you ban, right? Because what ends up
Hmm.
happening, you create who's the villain and who's the hero.
Hmm.
And
Right.
in most cases, if you allow me to make that decision, which I believe why you shouldn't ban books, is because like you're able to read and you're able to understand, like actually this action was taken as an effect of this other action, right?
Hmm.
But if you don't allow me to hear that part, then it doesn't make sense, or it makes one side of the story just not truth, right? We can't say we telling the truth and you don't give the whole truth. And so
Absolutely.
I think that is the danger in, banning books. Like, understanding curriculum, you may have like level things, like maybe there's certain things primary grade shouldn't be reading yet, but to never have access to it is an issue,
It's
and
definitely an issue.
and so in my home I can control what my kids are doing and things of that nature. But if we're really like seeking knowledge, like knowledge is deeper understanding. I only get a deeper understanding by being able to have all the evidence in front of me.
Yes. Yeah. So the first time I encountered you,
Okay.
a mutual friend, actually, Asada, she sent a video of you in your car. I think you were on your way to work, and you were venting about what your high school students didn't know and need to know, and what you do to help them ensure that they check on you even in things that you tell them. So can you share some things some issues um, regarding literacy that you encounter in your classroom, and what do you do about them?
So in the video I was sharing, so I teach 12th grade AP Government and Politics, and I also teach what they call a college prep version, which is more so like a general course for the same topic. And so I had my students experiencing going through like these different challenges with like the information we were learning about, like voting rights. Many of them are going to be of voting age, and I wanted them to be informed about like the history. And it's also aligned with what they're doing at AP Government, like understanding like how there were barriers put for voting, right? I just wanted them to be knowledgeable about like what they're about to be able to have the opportunity to do, and like why is it so important, and why people don't want you to do it, right? And so I think the thing that I was venting about was that many of my kids, in them having to like dig deep and do this research, they started to get frustrated because you don't get answers right away, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you got to dig deeper. You're like, I don't find that. Like, we got to look at another source, But the satisfaction that my kids had once they discovered it and they figured it out, or they were able to see these connections, was priceless, right? We were able to have like real conversations. And what I talked about is that the real crisis in education is not that our babies are not brilliant. Like my job as a teacher is to unlock what's already in you. I'm not bringing nothing new to the table. I'm just allowing you to see what you already have known or been exposed to, like how it all connects. And then what you don't understand, I'm showing you how to find it. The issue in education is that we don't set up classrooms so kids can ask questions, and that they can challenge thoughts, right? And that they're able to say, well, that don't make sense. Well, if that's the case, then why is this the case? You're right. You're absolutely right. Many of my students, because it's AP Government, they're looking at things in the government right now, right? They're like, well, you said Congress had to do da 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 da, but this is what just happened on TV the other day. I'm like, you're right. You're right. So what do you think about that? And then it makes them challenge like even their local government, because they're learning more about that. And so I think the real issue is that, do we set up spaces for our kids to be innovators and thinkers and challenge? Or are we, to be honest, what I believe the school system, the history behind it, is that we're just creating compliant individuals to just go along with what we want them to say and believe. And so many of our kids are frustrated because we're asking them to do these complex things, but all you've done is present them with simple tasks, right? You don't give them opportunities to think. You don't give them opportunities to challenge. Even if they mess up, we don't even allow them to like feel what that mess up feels like, because actually you don't want to feel that again. So you're going to do better the next time, right? Like, we've created all these barriers that doesn't allow them to understand how you master something. You don't master something by Googling it and doing it one time. Like, guess what? The people that have created all things, like, they had to do like 100 trials, right?
Yes.
50 trials. They had to get said no a few times, and but then once they got it, it felt so much of a success, because like, man, I worked through a thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we are such in a instant gratification, want to get the score right now. The test is in 6 weeks. We ain't got time. Like, I know you got those questions, but that's not going to be on the test. So we're not even going to cover that. You know,
Yes.
like we're in such that kind of environment
We
that
are.
they are literally being made to be robots and just move forward. And if you're not compliant, you're being disrespectful. And it's like, no, I'm just curious. And curious is how I become more knowledgeable, right? And then we're like, go to college, where you're supposed to now have all this like critical thinking and all this innovation, but I've never been able to have a classroom that allowed me to do that, right? And so that's what I felt like is a disservice, is that my kids and of all ages and even adults, we're gonna rise to the expectations we set for them. So if the only expectation you got for them is that they score 75% or higher on this test, they're gonna rise to that expectation. But if you want them to actually be like a thinker and a creator and an innovator, you have to be willing for, even, I tell my kids, challenge me. Because I'm not the end of the source either, right? It's things that they bring. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let's look that up right now, right?
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
I need you to know that I'm a student of life as well.
Absolutely.
I'm a student just along with you. And I show them how I use the tools that I'm also telling them to use, so I can become more knowledgeable and that I won't mess up again. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so I think that was the thing that I was venting about, is that we always are like villainizing these kids. They don't know how to read, don't know how to do this. It's like, but also, if a child goes to school, it's kids that go to school every single day, ain't missed a day of school since they've been in school, and still don't know how to read. It's not about attendance. It's about what is happening in those classrooms.
In the classroom.
And then what is teachers being able to be liberated and have the agency to do? Because if not, you know, you understand you can't just move on because the kid don't get it. But also my higher up telling me that if I ain't get this by this time, I might not have a job next year. So you are also like sacrificing this child's learning and mastery because you understand that we got deadlines. But deadlines of you can't put a deadline on when someone masters something.
No. Yeah, because each child masters things at a different time.
Yeah.
But because of the pressure that administration puts on teachers, I don't blame anybody. It's not the teacher's fault. I experienced students in freshman year that they've been touched by 13 teachers, K through 13. And then they have a parent, mother and a father in many cases. And why didn't those adults know that this child didn't know how to read? And so it's irritating, it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's fulfilling work when we are able to touch them one person at a time, one student at a time. So if you can offer 2 or 3 strategies to parents and families who have high school students who are not as literate as they need to be, so that they can read to learn, not learn how to read, what would you tell them?
I would say for, our high schoolers who are really struggling, it's about not necessarily meeting them where they are, but understanding at this point we need to change our mindset about like why I need to learn how to read. I think that when we're younger, of course, it's like the excitement, the joy of reading, and I believe joy is because I love reading, I love the art, I love the things, and it's definitely joyful. But I tell my kids that the reason you need to understand this is because reading to me is a life skill. It's literally life or death. It is the compass of where you're gonna go next. The longevity and the quality of life depends on if you know how to read, right? Like someone can get something by you because you didn't even understand what you signed or what you were understanding. So I think all of us want a bountiful and plentiful life, and I think that we need to be able to change the mindset around it. Like reading is going to get you access to that, right? Reading is going to allow you to really become the person you say you want to be when you grow up, to be you inspired to be a father and mother one day, like to be the mother and father you want to be the business owner you want to be. Like you have to learn how to read. And so I would start with what they want to aspire to be, and giving them content and things that's around that, because I already have a general interest. So now let's together work through it and master it so that I can be the best that I want to be. Like I talk to my students that say they want to be doctors, they want to be a carpenter, they want to be. I'm like, okay, but don't you want somebody that like knows that thing in and out? Like, do you want a nurse
mediocre,
the nurse that only read like the first couple of chapters of the biology book, and you want the one that actually mastered it, right? Like, no, it's not about the grade. It's not about the test. It's about you want to be the best at what you do, right? And if you don't know all the information, you can't be the best. Like you can't be a business owner and you don't know all the things about business, right? And it's not just in a textbook that you're going to learn that information. So I would encourage parents in that way, that because at this point, high schools are like, what am I going to do? How am I going to make money? I'm going to be an adult soon. How do I make this thing work? And to be honest, the same thing that's true for youngers is true for older. I think as adults, we have to model what we want to see those around us do. And so there is the same thing I tell younger, parents, and the same thing older, like you need to be a reader. And you need to show your children how you utilize reading in your everyday life, right? We have to like do as I don't do as I do as I say. Like, no, they need to do it. They need to do as you do, right? So if reading, do you really think is that important? Like, how often do you read, Mom? How often do you read, Grandma? How often do they see you looking at information to learn something new and like access it? It really is about our students and our children look at what we value and what we think is important. And if we're not doing certain things, they're like, oh, they just telling me to do it, but they don't even think it's important. They don't even do it. Right? Like how you gonna tell me to exercise and you don't exercise? Like how you gonna tell me to eat healthier and then you the one cooking? I only eat what you cook.
That's right.
Our kids are at the age where 1 + 1 ain't making 2. It don't make sense, right? So how you gonna tell me it's important and you not doing it? And we can look at that as being disrespectful. And how you gonna tell me? But there's some truth in that, right? Like we have to be able to be models of what we're saying excellence and what productivity is. And if they don't see you doing it, they seeing you make it without reading. But they don't think that it necessarily is something that they have to do as well. So when we talk about parents, I think it's about us understanding how do we continue to plant those seeds for them to make best decisions as adults, but also they're still watching us. Like I'm 43 this year. I still watch my parents, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's important that they understand that the things that they model and do are going to be in some ways the blueprint until I create my own. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I want to do is I want to read a couple of comments and then we're going to go into a commercial break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about the work that you do outside of the classroom.
No problem.
So this comment says we have to have more discussions in class. Students aren't connecting written words with topics.
Yeah.
That's very true. And we talked about that. Yep, absolutely true. This next comment says, we may need to really be creative and act out things, do role playing in order to imprint things on our students' memories. Yes,
I agree.
Anything that we can do to help them experience what it is they are learning, anything. Like I said earlier, research says that students may have to experience, not hear or see, but experience information up to 7 times before it actually becomes embedded into their long-term memory. This next comment says, it says books are only banned because we wrote them telling our truths, not his story. Our stories should be told by us, not those on the outside looking in. Yes, I agree with that. And if somebody takes the time to write their story, then it should be available for anybody who wants to read it, as long as it's age appropriate.
Yep.
The next comment says, I really like that you are using semantic communication. I can hardly see this with your students. This is a game changer in classroom education. Yep. anything that we can do to help them experience
Yep.
questioning or challenges provide also a path to critical thinking. Yes, allowing them to formulate questions. It was a core principle in my home in growing up. Yes, I love that also. I have just last week actually. I have we just started a semester, so I had a student to. She had a question, but before she asked her question, she said, "Professor Israel, I don't want you to get upset."
Mm.
And when I asked this question, and after she asked her question and I answered her question, I had to tell the whole class, don't be afraid to ask a question.
Yeah.
Questions are important.
Yep.
Questions help to make sure that you are learning what you need to learn. And questions also help to generate your thinking so that you can think beyond what I'm teaching you. So I wasn't disturbed, but it kind of it hit me that
That was
she was
telling, right? Right.
yeah,
Because those questions is your brain making sense. It's making
somebody
sense of
made
what you're
her
saying.
afraid to
Yep.
ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's not good. This comment says, um, people have a variety of learning styles, and that has to be catered to. I agree. That's what I said about children, students, all students, even adult students. We need to experience things at least up to 7 times if it's brand new learning. That is the research. Sometimes people don't need to experience it 7 times, but sometimes they might need to experience it even more than 7 times. So,
Yep.
as a teacher, it's my responsibility to create different ways to have students experience the learning.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last comment says, Naima Latif, you're correct. Scaffolding is always key in educating children and sometimes even adults.
Yep.
Absolutely. People have a variety of learning styles, yes, and they have to all be catered to. Yes, they do.
And
Uh,
the last thing I want to say about that, I think it's important that kids experience the different types of learning style, because then as you get older, you understand it's not that I can't get it. I'm just not getting it presented in the way that I best understand. And you can give agency to that, because I'm
mhm,
very much so a visual kinesthetic learner. Like,
mhm.
I was one of those students that was in lectures, I get lost. I get lost in the words and just keep going on and on. And I was
Yes.
able to learn that by being a student and also learning that
Mhm.
about myself. So then I will ask a teacher, even when I was in college, like, can you give me an example?
Yeah.
Right. Or,
Mhm,
or I looked forward to when we did the actual like project or
mhm,
experiment, because now it's going to really lock in.
mhm,
And so when
mhm.
we don't give kids those opportunities, they don't know that it's not that you can't get it. You're just not getting it the way that you best can grasp it. And they can have agency to advocate for themselves. Like, I will
Mhm,
tell my teachers, like, do you have this written down? Like, are we going to get the PowerPoint? Are we,
mhm.
like, I need to be able to go back over this, because you just
Yeah.
lecturing at me. I'm not going to where my neighbor, that's all they needed. They just
Yeah.
needed to hear it once, but I need to see it. I need to see it. And I also
Every,
need to be able to like touch it and do the
yeah,
thing.
everybody's different. And with
Yep.
that, it's time for a commercial break.
Yes.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health.
Okay.
Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair. Hey family, this is Charles Humphrey of MCH Publishing, and I'm here with Ashada, and we at the Soulful Chicago Book what?
This is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, slamming.
We getting down in Hyde Park. Just run it down, my sister. Just tell us, for the people, a little bit about what we're doing here today and why.
You know, this is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, and this month is very important. I feel like we don't give it the type of recognition that it needs. But beyond that, I do all things literary, and we have so many ancestors that have taken a tradition of writing and done great things. Well, we have those of us that are carrying on that tradition, and nobody knows about them until now. So the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair is allowing us to tell our stories according to ourselves for our own benefit, and it's just beautiful. I mean, she could have been here today if you wasn't here, but if you were, oh, it's been amazing. People came in consistently, children, and we have children's authors, we have nonfiction authors, we have fiction authors. This is really good, and it's about taking our own power in our own hands and doing what we do on the literary tip, though.
Right.
I gotta work, but I can't help it. Everything's going too smooth. Now I just about bring my Africans in like this. Bring in the Africans.
Okay. So for Chicago Book Fair, everybody, please come out to the book fair next Sunday at Little Black Pearl in Hyde Park from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We want to see you there. Bring your children, bring your families. There'll be books for everybody. Fiction, nonfiction. Come out. We need to buy books. Buy Black authors about Black people. Come buy books. Books are important. Let's get those books in our homes. So now we're back, and we are talking to Jurema Gorham. She's an educator, a nonprofit leader, and community advocate. We just heard her voice giving us great information about what she does in the classroom and what parents should do at home. She's about youth empowerment, advancing literacy in our communities, and she provides cultural programming on the South Side of Chicago. In the beginning, when she first came on, I called her Queen of Literacy, a Chicago native. She's founder of and executive director of Burst Into Books. And we want you to talk about what your organization is and what its mission is and what you do for our community.
Well, thank you. So, yes, I am the executive director of Burst Into Books. I started Burst Into Books back in 2018 as an educator and as a parent first, and just seeking resources that would not only be a space for my son to learn about himself, but also for him to understand the power of Black storytelling. And so that is what I'm about. I'm about how do we empower the whole family to not only increase in our understanding of literacy, but I truly believe that it comes from us just exploring who we are as a people and being able to have programming that's centered around that. And so I started my work in book clubs, like doing different book clubs and hosting community events. And over time, it has grown into a variety of things. And so we host different holiday celebrations. As you see here, we do an annual spelling bee that I'll be announcing soon. We're doing some advancements to that, which I'm excited to share about. Each year, I host a literary festival. So this year will actually be our 5th year hosting our festival, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. We do story times where we bring in authors, bring in local and like national folks to come in and just share the story behind the story. I believe that we inspire the next generation of writers by them meeting writers, right? And many of our kids fall in love with reading because they understand, like, this is just someone else's story. So I can write my story too, you know? And then last but not least, we host community programming. So I do a lot of work in collaboration with the neighborhoods in that I work in. Our community art spaces in Roseland. And so we started the last few years what we call the Roseland's People Market. So it's an opportunity for us to not only provide, I believe, in holistic education. So yes, we're going to get you the resources, the things you need, but I also understand that your body and your mind and all those things need to be fed as well. And so when we at our market days, we have local growers that are there, other community organizations, other Black businesses in a space where we can just promote and encourage one another and just provide access, especially with us being in neighborhoods where there is food deserts, which is where our work is located in. We're going to bring the needs and the resources to our people. So I'm really excited for this work. Like I said, we started back in 2018, so we're in our 8th year as an org. And our festival that we host every July is just a way for us to just bring it all together. Chicago is a city of festivals, and I just believe that it's important that we celebrate also literary works. And so this year, with our 5th year, our festival is going to be centered around all Chicago, because I believe that if you don't know, Chicago is the hub of writers, right? It's the hub of artists from past, present, and future. And then this is just showing us from last year. So each year we have a different thing. We bring in different folks. So this was last year. We had Kwame Alexander. We had Lisa Klein Ransom and her husband, James Ransom, London Ladd, youth artist Zion Ali. And then this is just an example of the different activations that we do. But very soon we'll be sharing about the 5th year one, which will be July 25th, and all the things we're doing to celebrate Chicago. So I just believe, to your point, our literacy crisis is going to happen outside the classroom, just being able to solve it in partnership with schools, right? In partnership with those who their main roles, educators, to do that work. But really, how do we, when that child leaves the home, continue the lessons and then continue the experiences? And so that's what I do with Burst Into Books.
Right, I love it. I have a couple of images that I would like to show, and if you tell us a story about each of these images. I think I have 4.
Okay. So here we are a CPS vendor. So we do after school programming. And so this is one of our teaching artists, Aaliyah Simone. She was working at one of the local schools doing an after school like writing workshop. And so she integrates the arts along with writing. So just doing like creative writing and allowing them to be able to, earlier someone talked about, express what they're learning. So they'll read a story, read books, and maybe they'll write a play about it, right? That was their report about it. They've done like different art crafts and things center, or even just, spoken word and writing poems, and just being able to show them different ways in which they can express themselves. So this is just a big part of our work in doing like after school programming.
Okay. Next one.
This was leading up to our fest last year. So we host a number of different events in the community around. This was actually at St. Sabina. We did a literacy fest there where we had different like activations. And as you can see here, we were doing like limbo with the kids, but we also had different areas where we had authors who had set up tables so they could be able to support them and learn more about their work. We had food. We had an outside like food pantry in partnership with them, like giving it to all the families that came. And so it was a really, really fun day of just like celebrating. It was like a mini level of our festival. So the kids had a great time. They were able to play with their families, enjoy all the different things, and everyone left with books. So this was what this event was.
Okay, awesome.
And this is a picture of my community art space in Roseland. So this is like from the stairs down. So this was, I think last summer, we had, like just different people in the store. So in our store, we sell books, we sell local authors along with getting books through different publishers. We also have areas in the space where we support local businesses and we sell their products within our store. So this was just like a Saturday at the shop, right? Like people in talking and just supporting us and working throughout the day. Someone by the window is working. We have like a little co-working areas throughout the space. So this is just, if you come into our space, you'll be able to not only find a great book, but also just community, because I don't believe that our space is just about sales. It's about how do we build a hub where people feel like they're, welcomed and have a space in their neighborhood.
Okay. What are the times that your space is open?
Yeah, so we are open Tuesdays through Fridays from 2 to 6. And then on Saturday, we're open from 10 to 5. And then the earlier times, we are open for a group. So like we didn't open to the public till 2 because during the day, sometimes we have homeschool groups or other groups that come for field trips, or if you wanted to rent out the space for a meeting, or if you wanted to just come there to just work, we have it for the earlier time, like by setting that up that you can do that. But our open hours are 2 to 6, Tuesday through Friday, and Saturdays from 10 to 5 p.m.
All right, all right. Fantastic. Awesome. I think I have one more. Yep.
And this is something I'm super proud about. This is a mural that we worked with the city to get. It is right on the corner of 110th and Michigan. They were looking to do beautification projects throughout the neighborhood, and they knew of our work in Roseland, and they asked if we were interested in partnering with a local author, a local artist, my apologies, to do a mural. And I was saying, of course. And she actually came up with this design and like pretty much like in honor of the work that we do. So it's a picture of this beautiful young Black girl reading a book and just like all the things that come out of that book. And so if you drive down 110th of Michigan, you see it. And the beautiful part of this story is that in her doing it, to see how the neighborhood was so excited, because if you have been in Roseland and you've seen it and you know it, like I grew up on the far south side going to Morgan Park. That Michigan Avenue was my strip, right?
All right.
Going to Gately. And so you remember like what it was when it was vibrant and all the things. And so to see investment coming back, like so many people were so excited as it was going. I'm like, man, this is so beautiful, man. This is great. So,
Yeah.
So this is what this is. It's a mural
That's
that was completed
beautiful.
last year. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So I don't want to leave the audience. I want to leave the audience with the fact that literally that we have a problem, and I don't want them to forget about it. And I do know that many of the schools are improving their older students' instruction, but it's not happening fast enough because they have to overcome years of underfunding and so many ineffective methods of teaching, making those children who don't know how to read disadvantaged. And I love the work that you're doing. And I hope that we can get older students in there buying books. And also, do you have a program where you give books away to high school students? If not, let's get some community people to buy some books and you give them away to our young people.
Yep. So we definitely have books that we get donated and we receive, and we do give them out for free.
Okay. Awesome.
We also started last year starting to go into schools and doing book fairs, which has been really awesome. So we have a number of book fairs we've been doing. And I think that that's the thing too. Like kids don't like to read. Well, they don't want to read books that they don't think is gonna be good, right?
Yeah.
or isn't interesting. And so when they see when they see their faces, and when they see that it comes in all different genres, the number of kids that want to get a book and buy a book is amazing. So I think that that's the thing as well. Just yes, we do have ways that we can give out books for free because we do work with a lot of partners, but we always welcome more. And I think that we need to continue to do it. And then we also can come into schools and host a book fair and be able to like give access in that way as well.
Okay, so I want to encourage our community to go to her website and be a partner. Help her give books away to our young people, the ones that can't afford to buy, because there are many of those children. So even though we've got this problem, it's fixable.
It definitely is.
It's definitely fixable. And there are schools that are trying to fix the problem. There are teachers who are doing their best to make sure that the students that they touch every day are literate. So this problem is great, is massive even, but it can be fixed. It's fixable. As profound as it is, it's fixable. But we need families, we need parents, we need aunts, uncles, and neighbors. We need community centers and churches. We need churches. We need everybody in our community to understand that there is a problem. And in order for our young people to be able to not be wrapped up in the school to prison pipeline and all those things that come with not being able to read well and think well, understand what they're reading. We need that problem to be solved, and it need to be solved by our community. It's fixable.
Yeah, I would
So,
want to say something to, I'm
okay,
sorry, to this
go ahead.
comment. I agree. I believe that it is definitely fixable. And the solution is for us to understand that it takes us working in collaboration and not
Mhm,
in this like pointing the fingers. I think that
mhm,
that has been, when I see we talk about a literacy crisis, they're like, well, where are the parents or where are the teachers or where's this? It's like, guess what? All of
where's
those spaces,
everybody?
where's everybody? And the
Mhm,
issue is that everybody can't do it by themselves, right?
mhm,
Like even me as a parent by myself
mhm,
is not
mhm,
the answer, right? Like I'm a
mhm,
big part of it. I'm his first teacher. All those things are
mhm,
true. But also I need support from his school, right? I need support
mhm,
from his basketball coach. I need support when we go to church, right? I need
mhm.
my village to be able to be a
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
him being able to better understand, and vice versa. Like the school needs the support of parents.
yes.
The administration needs the support of the church that's next door, right?
Mhm,
Like they only
mhm,
can afford so much. So if we have people that volunteer to come and do stuff at schools, right? I think we have to see it as a crisis. And what do you do as a crisis? You pull all your resources together to be
mhm,
able to get it done. You don't say, well, oh, I hope that's their problem to figure it out. Like we're gonna have to all come together. And then they do need
mhm.
motivation. They need to feel motivated. Kids need to feel like beyond the A is why I need to do this. And that's why I said connecting it to what they want to do for their futures, connecting it to a current thing they're trying to be better at, connecting it in a way that's bigger than the test score. Because the test score, to be honest, is not a motivation for a lot of these kids, right?
No, and it should
So,
not be.
and it shouldn't be, right? Because the test score doesn't even sum up all of what you know. It's just what you know in this snapshot of a time. And so I think we have to find different ways that we're motivating them to want to do the things.
Yes, absolutely. So, if you're listening, what Jurema just described is the village that we've been talking about for years. We always hear and say it takes a village. What she
Mm-hmm.
describes is what that actually looks like. We need to stop using that term loosely and actually begin to practice it. And everybody has a part. Some of our parts are small and some are big. So, whatever part you can play, get in here and be a part of the village. There's a question in the chat. It's in the comments. The question is asking, love to would love to donate books and ebooks? Okay, so somebody from Higher Learning Network wants to donate books and ebooks. Go to her website, contact her, and let's get these done. Okay, so is there anything that you like to say? We are closing soon. What are your last comments?
My last comments is one, thank you for this conversation, because I think that this is how we're able to start moving forward, is to just make it a part of our conversations, us understanding that I think we do shock factors. I remember it was like this big uh post that went out of like the low reading scores, and it was a hot topic for a few days and then it just went away,
Went
right?
away.
And I think it's just important we understand that this is not going to go away unless we are intentional about what we're going to do about it. And part of it is these types of conversations and us learning about one another. So everyone who's on here who says like, hey, I done this or I did that, I'm always open to how to collaborate, how to learn, how to build, utilizing my space for people to do tutoring, whatever program or workshop you want to do. I think that we have to talk about it and then we can see what we have access to and how we can expand. So I wanted to say that first. If you
Okay.
want to reach out to me in any way, if there's any way I can support you, you heard it, I give out books and you need them, let me know. If you know that your child's school needs a literacy night and they want to do something after school, we do that. Like, let me know how I could be a support. The last thing I would say is, to your point, it's not impossible. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to be solved by us making intentional efforts to make sure that our kids have what they need. And it starts, if you are a mom who's pregnant, it starts from the womb, right? It starts from you talking to your baby. It starts from you speaking to them. It starts with the exposure. It starts with what their initial relationship is with reading. Like, I tell parents that all the time. My son became a lover of books. Now he's a teenager. That's a whole nother situation, right? Like, but the beginning of this journey, he was such in love with books because his first introduction to books was not homework. Yeah. It wasn't a test. It was us going to the library. It was me taking him to story time when he was a baby, right? It was us listening and doing the nursery rhymes. It was from him being able to have this love with imagination so that by the time he got to school, it was like, oh yeah, I got a whole home library at home, right? Like, this is just what I do. And now that he's older, he's reaping the benefits of that, right? And now I have to, like, as I'm talking about how do we help kids be interested, I'm talking about for my own freshman in high school. I do the same thing. Like, look, you want to be in fashion, you want to do basketball, here's a book, read about that, right? Like, here's a person that you should look up what they're doing. And that is what's grabbing him back to reading. Maybe when he was younger, it was fairy tales and Marvel and all those. And now that he's older, it got to make sense to him. And so this is what you want to do when you grow up? Here, read about it. So I think we have to evolve as our kids evolve, but start in the womb. And then as they are growing, do know that it starts from the very beginning. If they're later in life and they don't have it, we have a village and people who can pour into them and help them to be better.
All right. Awesome. Okay, it's time for another commercial break as we wrap up. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed you being here as a guest with me. And guys, this is my second show. Actually, it's my first show alone. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm going to get better. It was fun. And I had a lot to think about. Thank you so much for being my first guest.
Oh, no problem.
This is exciting. And I'll make sure I'm going to visit your bookstore and I'll make sure I support you and encourage others to do so also, because it's for our children.
Yep.
And they're our children. So thank you so much. Literacy is freedom, and we have a literacy crisis. Children should learn to read from pre-K to 3rd grade. They should practice reading from 4th to 6th grade, and they should read to learn beginning in 7th grade and continuing through 4th grade. This video is sponsored by Rico Nance and Chemistry Steak and Brunch House in Hyde Park, Chicago. All right. It was a great show. I enjoyed that a lot. I can hardly wait for more. Commercial break.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.